All right, good morning then, everybody. I'm going to open this meeting. It's 9 o'clock. Tuesday, March 11th. Welcome. I think the first thing on our agenda is approval of our minutes from February 11th. And
Thank you, I got it in this morning. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what exactly the change was this
It
morning.
was adding more information about the tax relief applicants.
Right,
To the executive minutes, we approved two.
okay, that's right. Thank you. Any other changes?
I just have a small comment. We should all remember that Bonnie's name is P-O-N-N-Y.
Oh, I obviously did not know
No,
that,
but half the town says I-E and half the town says Y,
but
she
she ought to get,
prefers
yeah.
Y. So,
Good to know.
but we don't need to change the minutes, no.
For
Just
that.
next time, if there is one, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Right, then do I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended then?
So move.
Give a second.
Second,
All right, and all in favor? All right, thank you very much. And then Catherine, you said you have the treasurer's report from this morning?
Yeah, I gave each of you a printout. It was a very simple one. We did have two gifts to the HCT and two gifts to the property tax relief. And then we had just disbursements from the Hugh Cargill Trust. And I'm going to keep notes this year on how much it goes to the CMLP, just so that we have a tab of that. So that's down in a note on the bottom. That 760 went to CMLP.
So those are coming out of our own account, not the CMLP account?
There is no CMLP.
Right,
account,
so
so
right,
it's now coming out of Hugh Cargill. I just thought we'd
That's
keep
good.
track of it so we would know.
got it. That's great.
do we have a sense as to why they changed their position on this account?
So I asked the CFO that question, and I think it's a perception that the town can't give money to itself. And so I think it also has to do with sort of accounting rules that he is in particular trying to be very compliant with. I guess the only other comment I'll make that when you're doing the CMLP, CMLP residents are eligible for discount rates as well. So I don't know if you're looking or asking about that, maybe you already know it, but just want to link that out.
The gifts that came in, are these, that's a nice amount, these two? Or was that, or
Each of them were two,
Yeah.
1,000, one was 1,000 to each, and then there were two, yeah, and then one, a 200 and a 250.
okay, and are those gifts that occur annually, like?
They're individuals, who give, yes, I think their names I
Yeah,
recognize.
that's
Yeah.
good, okay,
Mhm. So regular givers. that
Regular
get the
gifts.
prompting by our annual
Right,
appeal.
yeah.
Nice. That's great. We need to approve this report.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Any other questions or things to note on this? If not, then can I get a motion to approve the
Motion to
treasurer's report?
approve the treasurer's report as presented.
Second.
And all in favor?
I'm
Great, thank you.
well, actually, I do have one more question, but it
No, go ahead.
won't impact the approval of the report. Are people, acknowledged by, like, a thank you letter from any of us?
Yes.
Okay,
Shannon keeps track, and are you doing that now, or
I
who's doing?
don't know. I've not seen. it.
Yeah, so typically in, when it's not the annual appeal, there's just a standard letter that I send out that has all of the committee members' names. During the annual appeal last year, Elizabeth would try to come in and sign letters. I would hold them until I mailed them, so.
That's a perfect segue to the next one, which was the annual appeal letter. because
Did you send that out? on-
It had been sent when, I think in the initial mailing after the meeting, no? Did you
From
send it?
last meeting, I know we had it. I can try to, pull it back.
Yeah, I don't think we had changed it, at the last meeting, maybe there were a couple of additions. I don't remember. I was looking at all those attachments and trying to keep track of what was what, and honestly, I might have been a little confused on that one. But what was interesting about the annual appeal letter, is that regardless of what it says, somewhere in the depths of the files that Elizabeth, passed on to me, there were the instructions for the annual appeal letter for dispersing, for sending it out. And that, that we would all be signing it and, you know, adding our personal notes and things like that. Has that been done in the past?
Well, when the letter goes, I was, yes, for the thank you notes. So if there were people on the committee that knew the donor, there might be a personal note from that person.
Right.
But I don't remember that being a personal note that went out with the,
I think when we did the off years, when we were not sending to the entire
Oh,
town,
yes.
we did, sending to the entire town, that's a big act.
yes.
Right.
That's exactly right.
Right, which is when I saw this, I was like, okay, that is a big job that I had no idea, you know, we were going to be doing. So, thank you, Shannon, for pulling that up. So was that, did we share that at the last?
This was sent out by you on, February 12th.
Okay, so it's been a while.
It's been a while, but this is it. I can try to print some copies of it really quick, if that's helpful.
If does anybody need it, this was what we had talked about at the last meeting, and we made some slight revisions to it, with your suggestions, so this was right after that meeting, and, I apologize if it's not fresh in everybody's mind. Can you all read that from here?
Yeah.
See if there's any changes needed.
I think I remember you just took out
We took out the 250 stuff.
250 and.
And Kristen had a couple tweaks
Right.
from her
Yes.
Right.
experience.
Yeah.
All fundraisers.
Right. So, I mean, I don't think that there was anything that was particularly unusual about it.
Any references to the holiday season was also taken out.
That's right. That's right, because we're well beyond that. Yeah, no 250, no holiday season.
Yeah.
We added, I think, a little bit about what we use this money for. And we added the personal, the thank yous that Lucia provided us.
The recent donations might have been people who normally, it's on their calendar that they're receiving the letter.
Yeah,
They haven't received it yet, so they just went ahead and.
Yeah.
Right.
There's one.
So if there's no other changes to it, if we're all okay with it, then the process would be to get it printed?
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah, so I already spoke with Ricky at Concord Printing. They have, you know, similar versions of this on file, so I'll give him the correct letter. But then the return envelopes are the same. So there's like the envelope that it will be mailed in, and then there's the return envelope for the donation that's inside the envelope also that he already has.
And do they stuff them and get them ready for me?
Yeah, we're gonna ask them to do the mailing.
and then we don't have to do anything else.
No one's doing anything.
We're this piece of paper. But,
Do you issue it to those residents that have a post office box on?
Yeah, I believe so, that they include that in the mailing too.
And am I remembering correctly, there's no option for any other way to pay, you have to write and send a check.
Yeah,
right, because we talked about a QR code, right, but. we're-
yeah, there's nowhere to send it.
Sorry.
But that might be worth noting, right, Shannon, because we met with Anthony, and we think in the future, we'll be able to do it after the Hugh Cargill Trust accounting gets integrated with the municipal system.
Yeah.
So,
Is there a sense of when that might happen?
you might-
Yeah, I would say it's on the list for sometime this year, but there are like there are a couple other accounts that aren't tied in with the town accounting system that finance is gonna try to do them like all at the same time.
Right. I think I was looking at my, my trash collection letter yesterday that had that explanation about why checks are burdensome for staff,
Yeah,
so.
So should that be included on here, something like
But there's
that?
no. alternative.
yeah, we don't have an alternative
Alternative,
yet,
okay,
yeah.
Right. There's, right.
Hopefully, I think this is on the list for this year, at some point.
It is, it was an audit finding
Yeah.
also, so it should get done.
Great, all right, so I'm
Is
gonna,
it worth adding the sentence about, I don't know what you would say, but I mean, I can imagine people looking at this and thinking like, wow, what the hell, how come there's not no way to do it, that we are working on an easier way to make donations or
That sounds like a promise, that will take a long time.
I think,
Okay.
Build, setting an expectation. that
Don't
will-
make promises you can't keep.
Yeah.
Right, especially when it's so indefinite.
And I'd like to
Yes.
think we can keep it, but yeah, I think we can't say when.
But we would hope that by next year's appeal.
Yeah, I think so.
It'll be in place and it'll just be one final push for you. And hopefully
Yeah.
after, it'll all be after town, or after at least Patriots Day, right? So one less thing in
Yeah.
America. Okay, so we're all good with the letter going as it is and you'll manage it for
Yep.
us, and thank you very much.
Oh, sorry,
Go ahead.
this may be, I think I know the answer to this question, but when you send the letter out, is there any way to edit the recipient list to make sure that the people who like just donated don't get it, the letter?
I don't think so, because Concord Printing is just gonna do a full town-wide mailing, like, I think it would just be.
it's a handful of people, this.
No, I know, I just would hate,
It
you know,
would be
someone
ideal,
donates $1,200 and then gets a letter the next week saying, please donate with no, so I guess the second question is, can we make sure that those people receive, this is clearly not gonna happen like tomorrow, this letter going out.
Yeah,
But can we make sure people receive their acknowledgement letters?
oh yeah, they definitely already have
perfect.
them, yeah.
Great.
Okay, great. Right. So they won't be sitting there saying, did they not get my money? Right,
Right.
right, yeah. All right, so we're good to go on that. On the agenda, the confidential intake form is next, but I actually want to jump over to the review, the property tax relief application letter, since it's similar to, that also went out, I think, on the 12th, no? Or did it not go out at all?
Never saw that.
So we went over the property tax relief application,
Yeah.
so that we already made changes to, 1 second, I'm gonna pull up the committee page. We agreed at the last meeting that we were going to make the standards the same as the senior mean, so I already went ahead and did that, so that's already on.
Okay, so we don't have to do anything with that.
No, so this is now, the same as the senior means, program. But so then really people are supposed to receive applications to reapply for the next fiscal year, I think we say in April.
And that goes out automatically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we just send them out to the same list of people who are on the list of property tax relief.
Thank you. So we don't have to do anything here.
No,
We're
this is updated for right now, and then I think you know, I don't know that we ever determined when the senior means guidelines are.
April.
It is
We can
April.
double check, that's what.
Okay, so then those will just be updated again when I send the application for renewal out. So we can always be on the same guidelines.
Can you send a note for that, so that maybe this year they would know?
Yeah, I believe there's a cover letter and already, but then also, right, we'll want to let people know that the quarterly payment is going to increase as we discussed.
All right, so we don't have to do anything with this one. When I was looking it over, I noticed that, so in my work, I've been spending a lot of time with census data. So I noticed that median home, that value of 1,303,250 is the median household value for Concord, because that's what I've been looking at for a lot of other things. So I just thought, as I was staring at census data, that I'd share some context for other things, like what the poverty level is in town, because I don't know if anybody's really looking at that. So the census, the median household income in Concord is $212,315. Statewide, the median household income is $99,000. So we're a very affluent town, which we already, I'm sure, mostly knew. What the census says is that there's 2.5% of people living in poverty, which is 452 people that are living in poverty. The poverty level,
Households or people?
individuals.
Individuals.
An individual is considered to be at poverty level if their income is $15,150. no, excuse me, $15,650. Right, a family of 5 would be considered to be at the poverty level if they're 37,650,000. So you can imagine if you're, living at the poverty level, even 200% of the poverty level is, which is where, SNAP, where things get qualified. It's unbelievable how little that is. The other thing that the census pointed out that I think is relevant to the people we're helping is 3.8% of the population under the age of 65 is disabled. So that's about 687 people are considered disabled in town. So I don't know,
What did you say the percentage was of poverty?
it's 2.5%.
2.5.
So it's about 452
Yeah,
people, because
yeah,
we're a
got
little
that,
over
yeah.
18,000.
Yeah.
And 687 people under age 65 were considered disabled. The number over 65, I don't know it. It's probably relatively high or similar. Anyway, just some context. I thought it was, because I stare at data like this all the time.
Yeah,
I thought
no,
it was
it's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. It is interesting, especially when you're thinking, we move on to the confidential intake form and the final approval of that. I just, I don't know if there's a reason or a way to integrate any of this. I don't think it matters, but it just, it was what prompted me to think about it.
It's sobering.
It's sobering, right? I mean, imagine living on $15,000 in this town. I don't know how you would, even if have every subsidy. But there are people that are doing, so, and I'm sure they're among the people that we have been helping.
Oh, yes.
There's no doubt. Okay, so we've gone over this intake form a lot. I think one of the things I just want to make sure that we were all on the same page on after our last meeting is that when we had Bonnie and Nicole here, what we talked about is that when responses are, when people are referred through them, we can assume that they've been vetted and that, we're in good shape to just approve their requests, assuming that it's in line with the things that we support.
Okay, I think right from there, very often, and Bonnie, I sent you copies of her. She is so busy, she'll just say, go to Hugh Cargill Trust.
Because
Go
she's
here.
already done the work.
No, she hasn't. She said, there's one for me and there are 3 social workers at COA, and I don't have time for all these young people. She actually said that.
Well, I can read you an email that she sent to me clarifying that, where she said, if I am sending them to you, yes, I basically have approved that their requests are there, that if they have come, so yeah, she might not have them fully on her caseload, but she has done some assessment and said, yes, they are eligible. And this is a source for your help. I have emails from her basically saying from Nicole, that anybody that they sent to us, we're good. We want to make sure that it's within the annual limits. We want to make sure that it's the types of assistance that we provide. And there's not much more we have to ask because they've done that work. I think if they're, the next step though is the people that come directly to us without going through it or from other sources. And that's where I think these questions become a little bit more important. This is the process for people that are coming in where we do need to get this information, respecting all of that confidentiality as to the extent possible. We still want to make sure that they're doing the invoicing or providing it, that you're not digging deep to get it and calling on their behalf.
Is this sit right with you? Not so much.
I don't know. I feel like I probably shouldn't start with this, but I feel like we're gonna miss something because if Bonnie sends somebody or Nicole and I talk to these people, they want to talk to me. I mean, it's helpful for them. They don't know that I have a form, but it sort of guides me weaving through. Yes, they have 4 children and 2 are in the high school and the younger ones are disabled or what, there are situations that they feel that they need to declare. So,
But it doesn't have to be recorded. They want to have a conversation
Well,
because you're a supportive voice.
well, I record it for me. I'm not recording it for you,
Mhm.
but it helps me when I then I know more about them. So when I tell you very little things about these people, I already know a lot, but I don't say anything about it. It just helps me get a picture of who they are, and sometimes I say, you know, have you tried to go to the COA for handicap accessible equipment? Or, you know, I make suggestions to them, which they're very grateful for.
But if they've come from Nicole or.
No, a lot of them haven't. You know, I have a lot of people who have not come.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, that for those that haven't come, then these questions are appropriate. For the people that have, then it's extra work that's already been done. It's duplicating the work that they've been doing. And when it's not you, it's harder for people to take that on.
Yeah, well,
That's, I think, the goal here is to just lighten the load for, you know, for whoever's doing this.
Sorry.
I had my phone off, but I didn't have my watch.
That's what I'm talking about.
Anyway,
Yeah, no,
I'm not
I know.
worried about it. Whoever takes over, I'll have a conversation and I'll just say, this is how I did it and you do it your way. So,
Right.
yes,
And you know, so I think this form is totally relevant for those who are coming beyond, you know, outside of those two referral sources, right? So if they're coming from St. Vincent de Paul, if they're coming from Open Table, from whoever, then we would go through all of that information.
You don't have eyes behind your head, so you can't see.
I remember from the meeting with Bonnie and Nicole that, if we had someone come to us that could potentially receive services from the town or, from Bonnie or Nicole, that we would take, information that the form, requested, and then move them on to Bonnie and Nicole. And
After already approving or.
if they hadn't seen Bonnie and Nicole, and they came to you directly, that you would collect the information that Bonnie and Nicole would also want to receive.
Mhm.
But that was like the form, and I think Bonnie and Nicole looked at the form to say, this is the information, yes, we need this information.
Yes.
No, we don't need that, you know, these
Right.
pieces. So that after coming to the intake, they then are referred to Bonnie and Nicole.
Right.
That's what I remember as a way of reducing the, social worker aspect of the Hugh Cargill Trust, which isn't our job, or your job. It's hard to change. Anyway.
Right. So we would process it, we would
We would
take this,
collect
we would
it.
cross it, we would.
And then we would move them to Bonnie and Nicole to make sure they were getting support directly from the organizations that the town already has in place.
Right.
And now, the next time that they come to us, they're already part of our expected recipient pool. The conversations around what's going on in their lives and why the help is so appreciated, I think that's a personal decision of the intake person. I mean, if they want to develop these relationships, it's a beautiful thing. It really is. It's very personal. But I don't, when really the only concern is that we're saying yes to someone we should say no to, I feel like that's such a small situation. I would be totally willing to make that mistake, in the initial, you know, receiving of a new applicant. It's okay. Eventually, they become a family or a person that the town knows needs support. So really, it's only when someone's coming in that we didn't know about to begin with.
Right, if that's appropriate. That makes sense?
maybe a quarter of the people, come directly.
Yeah,
So it's not that much.
And they don't really know about COA and they don't know about, Bonnie, and I always send them a little paragraph. Not a poem, but a paragraph.
yeah.
So-and-so came and this is what, and that, I did that this time and Bonnie got upset because she said, I know who this, I've heard this name and this is a young person and I don't have time. And, you know, I think it's kind of unfortunate that the town doesn't provide her with more help. That's what I'd say. So I think she's frustrated. She works late, she works weekends, you know, and so she doesn't want any more.
This dovetails into the conversation about how to increase outreach, you know, the knowledge by our citizens that this
Oh, yeah.
is available. And that problem that Bonnie has with, her workload could potentially become even more of an issue, which it's not, it's a good thing because we're reaching more people,
But it's,
and eventually it will have to bubble up to staff
Yeah.
needs. Which is, again, it's a good thing.
Right, and if the economy, tanks, then
Yeah.
we'll have more of this, right? So.
so Wendy,
I was gonna make a reference, I'll tell, Jess, I think Jess should be aware if she's not already. If there's a workload issue and if people are not.
I think it really is, it's very, very,
It's the first time I'm hearing it, so.
Yeah.
Right, because we are not the social workers.
No, I get it,
Yeah.
but I think.
Yeah.
That was
Money's overlooked, that's the issue.
That was what was so great about them being at the
Yeah.
meeting, is that we could talk about like, who are these folks and how do we find out about them and what information you need and what processes are set up already and how can we make them better. I thought it was incredibly.
Right. This is true.
We're actually going to the Council on Aging Board as well, has to listen to that discussion.
Right, that's great. Right, because we have an aging population, it's gonna be
Yeah,
a greater
yeah.
percentage of the population that's over 65, so it's already, I think, the biggest part. The form, any comments on the form as we've made changes of it? I actually have one suggestion, given the changes to.
Yeah, I'll pull it back up.
Given the changes with CMLP, there's that section on the back that says referred by. I actually also think we should put referred to, because you get referred by and referred to. Right, and I would also add CMLP to that list, because we're not referring to. Well, will we refer back to them with our money? Should we have CMLP as one of those options there?
So you're
Yeah,
adding, you're not
yeah.
taking it, you just got referred by and referred to.
I would add referred
Yeah.
by and referred to.
Yeah, 2 words.
And I'm wondering whether CMLP should be one of the things listed there.
Okay, I'll tell you just my feeling about
Yeah.
that is, I have said to them, not for a long time, if you know someone who's drowning and you're about to cut off, could you let us know?
Mhm.
And they said, no.
CMLP said that?
Well, I mean, this was prior person who was in charge of that. And I said, we're here to help. So if you know of a family situation, not this situation, but the account is 3 months overdue. And you're sending these threatening letters and everybody feels threatened by CMLP, I have to tell you, the whole population are here. They don't have, they don't have a way of saying we're here to help, what can we do? Don't forget, you get a reduced rate, and I always tell people about the reduced rate. But they don't refer to us.
I think they don't have a system in place for doing it. No, I think that what's missing is, it's not that person's job to make that referral.
Right.
So perhaps there's a different way of doing it. So for example, that those letters that go out, the first one, the second one, because there's 3
Yeah.
in a
Oh,
row
yeah.
over 3 months.
Mhm.
There's a lot of time to refer that person elsewhere. That maybe the discussion with CMLP is, we would like to add a line at the bottom of your first letter, and the second and the third, that says, you haven't paid your bill, you need to pay your bill, we're gonna cut you off in 2 months if you don't pay your bill. Reach out to, and it could be us, well, it could be Hugh Cargill, it could be COA, it could be, Bonnie, there's, but there could be something put in that letter that just says, here are your options. It's not just,
Yeah, they're
That you're
also
going to-
encouraged to call the CMLP, and in those letters, they say, call us, contact us, and we will work with you. And I think some of the issue is people don't. And I think if they called them, that would be part of the conversation.
so that can be one of the options, because someone who would qualify for, let's say, a payment plan. May also qualify for our support. But when CMLP says, please give us a call, they mean, we have these different plans, and then the answer will be, sorry, you don't fit these plans. But it isn't, sorry, you don't fit these plans, oh, by the way, there's Hugh Cargill, and there's COA, and there's Bonnie. So that's why, you know, and maybe the letter cheated, but I feel like this is more a systems issue than it is a desire to turn people away.
I also
So-
imagine there's like a privacy issue with, I mean, they can't actually call us and say, we have this.
Yeah, that's what I think it
We
is.
should have Carol come to your next meeting.
Carol?
Carol, you know, she's at the same office, she manages customer service, she manages the collections, and she oversees all the servicing. So it's probably a great conversation to have. I assume Carol's still there. Yeah,
Right, because I mean, I'm thinking, even it doesn't have to be the turn off letters or the delayed bill, it could be any letter that's saying, any communication I have could have a reference to this source of.
So
support.
we talked them into that one time
We did.
to put it on, and they're very proud. Hugh Cargill just one month, and that was the
That's
last
it.
time they did it.
So do
I
you know
think
Carol's
it's worth
last
a
name?
conversation. I think it's good.
Do you know her last name?
I'll look it up. Keep
Okay,
going.
thank you.
I'll find it for you.
So, I think that would be good. So,
And some of the management has changed.
Oh, it
Yeah,
is.
that's
Yeah.
all. I think it's still there. That's what I was gonna check. Yeah.
right, to inform them.
Especially since. you're
Since
trying
they're
to
not
increase
also
people's
funded
awareness.
anymore.
Mhm.
And, yeah, and that also, there's no link between the two groups anymore.
Are there other agencies, organizations in town that would actually be alert to somebody that's in, distress like that? Financial
You have
distress?
the same issue with water and sewer, don't we? But I don't think they can turn
Yeah,
off
no,
water
they
and sewer,
can't- they
but
can't
it's
turn-
similar, they offer a
Right.
discount program. I mean,
Right.
it's-
But that doesn't get turned off if they don't.
No, I know.
And I don't think
I mean,
I don't
oil,
think electricity is turned off either. If you're a
It's not.
senior
Electricity is not turned off in the winter, there's a.
Right.
Right.
But they get a call, and so-and-so is coming on Monday at 10, and they're in a total panic.
Well, but it's been 3 months.
And it's been 3 months, but
Without-
there's a denial, how very often
Which
you
is-
have something you need to
That's
do.
why, to me.
You
it's
say, I'm
a
not gonna look in
systems
that
issue.
closet, it's
Yeah.
sort of the same thing, I don't wanna pay attention, because I know it's a terrible thing,
Mhm.
it's denied.
So this is morphing into our outreach conversation, but I just wanna make sure that there's nothing else we wanna change on that form, we're good on that. So outreach, it sounds like, inviting Carol from CMLP would be a useful thing. One of the, I know that materials are usually developed for town meeting, did we talk about that last time? We did, because I know the town meeting distribution is being different, it's different this year, right?
Yeah, it's different this year.
So is it just going to be in a booklet, is that it?
So that's the idea, but if you don't have an article, you can still do a handout.
But it's being discouraged. I mean, I don't know if we've had more discussion, the idea is to consolidate it, keep it organized for everybody, so.
Yeah, well, so
I
like,
want to do it.
when you show up, to be honest, I imagine you all still having a separate handout. What is really trying to be discouraged is, 20 different motions being printed out on the table and you can't figure out what piece of paper you're supposed to be looking at. That we're trying to consolidate in a book. I think, right, in general, we are trying to consolidate, but I know that the moderator understands that there are groups that like to get information out at town meeting that aren't necessarily related to town meeting. So it's not completely off the table to have a separate handout.
So this is gonna be discussed at the next part of this meeting.
Last
Yeah.
year they had like 500.
Yeah, I know, last year was
Too
crazy.
many, Yeah.
Well, because
I mean, for us-
sometimes what is also considered supplemental information, which also winds up on those tables are like, advocacy for a specific article and stuff like that, and so that's right, like. I can remember like one of the handouts being 5 pages for one of the articles last year, and like, that's crazy. But I think when you're trying to just like get a 1-pager out about the committee's work, to me, that's not something that makes sense to go in the briefing book.
Wasn't it included with all the other tax relief?
No, separate.
Yeah, it was,
Well, there was a second one.
Yeah.
yeah,
I thought the idea was to have like a trifold or something that the committee uses in a variety of
yeah,
environments or opportunities.
yeah.
Like, that would be great.
Yeah, that was
Have it,
the
and then we could
recollection
have, like,
too.
We could have a board on a tripod with your, trifold, and people could just ask questions, take it home, and that could be anywhere. That
Yeah,
could be
that's what I thought we
business
talked about, yeah, or like
Yeah.
even. If you're aware of doctor's offices in town that people go, drop a couple off there, whatever.
not specific to town meeting.
Yeah,
Right.
correct, and not that that information is specific to town meeting either, but it's just a good window to
One of the places.
get people to pick up your piece of paper.
So how do we go about making that, trifold or, fold it?
Yeah, whatever you all want to make, I sent last time the information that we had on it for 2024.
Right,
So that can just be edited however you all want.
okay.
And if you, I think, Kristen had some comments on, the donation section, it's, yeah, we already talked about it, I
Right,
think it's
sorry.
unfortunate that we're not. At this point, we're not gonna be able to change the modes for donating, but we gotta just work with what we got, and if a QR code. Goes to the website that just has information about the committee still, that's, I think, still helpful.
I agree. I can play with something like that.
Perfect.
To make it appealing. To try, so, oh,
And if it's an 8.5 by 11 trifolded, it becomes something you can put in an envelope, it's cheaper to
Right.
print, it's
Right.
like, so
That's
it's-
right.
anyone can print it on their home computer, fold it.
Do you think we have enough information to put on a trifold? I don't.
No,
we don't.
No, I think it's.
So, but we can think about like the,
Well, it could be like one of the, just like a,
yes,
one of the tries.
yes, yeah. Yeah, one of them,
And you know
yeah,
what? The shorter the better.
Right.
yeah, I
Just like a
think,
leaflet,
yes.
Here's an idea for outreach, are you guys, are any of you familiar with the site findhelp.org? Do you use it with your work? Findhelp.org. So this is something that Emerson Hospital provides, through their community benefits programs. And it's much broader than here. You put it in by zip code and it provides you with resources for all sorts of things. So a lot of it are, a lot of the resources listed are statewide or local, but I think it's not uncommon to have something that's very specific for a population. So I actually think that we could be putting it out there. Are you looking at it, Sharon? No, okay. Something that we could promote through that, I just wanna pull it up, or is it
Yeah,
something?
if you want me to
Can you
share
pull
my
it up?
screen if I pull it
That'd
up,
be great,
fine.
findhelp.org.
Jill, it was Carol.
Thank you. It's easy.
Okay,
So if you, can you put in our zip code?
Yes.
Cause it's not
Oh,
large.
this is good, I've never seen this.
Yeah, so, and then there's one that says money,
Which I'm looking at.
right there.
just click on that.
Yeah, he'll pay for housing, he'll pay for internet, he'll pay for phone, there's all of those different,
I think it makes me click on. There.
so some are broader in their populations and some are very, specific. But
This isn't specific to Concord, it's if you're in Concord, this is sort of your regional.
that's right, but there's something, section 8 by the Concord Housing
Yeah.
Authority,
Oh, they're now.
they're right there.
Yep, right here,
Right, so,
yeah, has their address and everything.
mhm. So I think we can put it in there with,
Yeah, that's cool.
the restrictions on who we serve. And information, the links to our
Yeah.
website and such.
I think that's a great idea, there's no reason not to do it, I'm
Right.
thinking though of the
Yeah.
people you talk about, who probably are not all that likely to be on this website.
a lot of them don't have.
Right, you said that,
But those that do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no harm in doing this.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a great
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah,
Are these state, I can't see them up, but are these all state programs?
No. I mean,
No,
there's
there
a
were like
little
some
bit of everything.
religious ones.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Harvey.
Yeah, the
Willis,
VA, yeah,
but there's, a private,
yeah, Jewish Family
Services.
Children's Service.
Yeah,
It's all different organizations.
it's all different,
Yeah.
right, so this is, we said a community benefit by, Emerson Hospital, a lot of other towns have this, or other organizations sponsor this, and I can work with, the community benefits manager to get something up there.
Can you click on program filters? I'm just looking, there's 770 results.
Yeah,
What are the filters that you can?
so the filters are, I want to visit, call, email, apply, or schedule online. And we can do call, email, apply, or schedule on.
Or income eligibility, there's that
Yeah.
one,
I was looking for, I just want 01742, but that's not.
Well, but I think when I was glancing through it, there were definitely some that, are eligible, eligibility is limited to residents at Concord.
And I think
Sort by-
if you pressed visit, maybe that would,
Well, you can sort by closest, very top right.
where'd it go? Oh, closest, yeah.
It'd be great to
Okay.
get a little tiny,
Yeah,
And
so
that
then it
just
makes
says Concord.
CHA
In
and
the Concord
COA the
Bridge.
first two to pop
about
up.
this for everybody.
About Fond Health.
Yes.
Well, I would tell Kelsey that at Emerson, the community benefits manager, it wouldn't be our job to do that. It's
No,
Emerson's.
but I don't mean for us to do
Yeah,
it, but it would be great to have that.
I think, they promote it, they have their quarterly or whatever, their magazine, I think it's usually in
Yeah.
there. They have cards and other literature around town, like in doctor's offices, but no, they could be promoting it more widely
Yeah.
than they do.
Would Emerson let you put the not trifold there
At there, I can.
at the hospital?
Maybe, I mean, I think this is what they're moving towards, I don't know. if they
Yeah.
have- I don't know if they have, a rack with all
Paper,
of their, that, but community benefits would certainly incorporate this into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have we ever, we have any
That's awesome.
capacity to have some cheap little thing that gets stuck in the grocery bags at open table or in gaining ground? I don't know, people get a carton of food, could there be something just stuck in the carton?
Good.
I mean, because I think the people you talk
Yeah.
about will see that maybe,
Right, well, the population's very
Yeah.
similar,
yes.
Yeah.
so they know about Hugh Cargill, and they know about food for families and.
Yeah.
Getting around and
Well,
open
it's
table,
MLB.
but it's a good thing.
I mean, at Open Table, they will do that if for the prepackaged groceries, they'll add something if necessary, if people want it. There is a wrap, but fewer, there's not as many people coming in the door.
So I mean, my experience at the hospital for years and years is you create a lot of lovely literature and nobody ever looks at it or takes it. It's really gotta be
Yes.
almost handed to somebody.
What if it went with the All Town Annual Appeal? There's one line in that annual appeal letter that says, that, to reach out for services, right? I think it is. It's not just a please donate to us. Anyway, what about putting, because it's going to the entire population. You're not doing it by assessed value, for example, which feels very targeted. But as part of that letter that goes out to everyone, someone might be like, I can't give to this, wait, I can ask, I can get help. Does it go to apartments or just property owners?
I think it should,
Or
I think it should go to
everyone?
everyone.
Yeah.
When we say town-wide mailing, I think it's a town-wide mailing.
That's a huge addition to that.
So add a
Process.
sentence to that letter that's saying if you.
No, I was saying.
Oh.
Put our one
Put that
fold,
piece.
put our fold in there.
So the person is getting both, the ability to contribute and the trigger to potentially receive.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the best opportunity we have. If we only do the townwide mailing every 3 years, so. If we're doing it, we might as well do it.
Just stuff it with that.
Yeah,
And Ricky could print it too.
yeah,
Okay, so we have to design it.
yeah, we gotta get the fold ready now.
I have a deadline. We only mail every 3 years.
So we keep it, a log of people that donate as part of the annual appeal. And then in between, we mail it directly to the people who tend to donate every year, but we do town-wide every 3 years. So whether they've donated previously or not.
I mean, there's nothing that says you can't do it every year.
Yeah,
I would absolutely do that every year, 100%,
I agree. Have fun, totally agree with that.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's, or every other year, paper mailing, I mean, I think organizations are moving away from paper anyway, but once we have this QR code up.
yeah,
Then
that'll change.
100% do
Yeah,
it even
yeah.
twice a year, but yeah, I
Yeah.
don't see any reason why you wouldn't do it every single year. Didn't you tell me we see donations like double?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
When the appeal goes out.
Right.
yeah.
that's just money on the table in the office.
All right, so I will try to design something soon and get it to you. When do you plan on getting the letter to Ricky?
Well, I'll just do everything at once, but you know, I think I said. When we spoke, I told him if I got him the letter after this meeting, if we would be able to turn it around for April, and he said no problem, so.
Jill, if you want any help designing or looking at it, I'm happy to.
Do you want to take a stab at it first and then send it on to me? Thank you so much.
I'll make sure you have that.
Yeah, but yeah,
handout.
I haven't seen the last
Yeah.
one, so it's perfect, thank you.
Great. So I'll follow up with community benefits at the hospital and get something on Find Help, but you'll do that part and that should be huge
Yeah.
boosts to our outreach efforts. Great, and we'll get the CMLP person here, try to for the next meeting, and that should improve our outreach. Great. Recruitment of a new member, I sent you an email, and I apologize for the formatting of it, it was just how it was sent to me. With some people that have indicated on their volunteer application forms that they are interested in this committee. Which is great, that there were a number of people that were, looked like 6, 7 people are interested, which is great.
I think 2 of them are people that I know, and one who said he didn't do it now, and another one I haven't heard back from. But she was about it.
Yeah, yes,
I think she doesn't have the time.
okay,
I'm having lunch with her on Friday, so I'll ask her again.
okay.
And then Julie Lynch.
These are people who
has
don't
not
have
yet
green cards.
applied, but she was very interested.
And she's the one, I mean, he's interested in Julie because she has an MSW.
Yeah, she knows her.
She's-
You know,
A very good friend of mine, yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent, do you want to talk to her? What's our process?
Oh, yeah, we texted because we knew each other was on the last round of
Yes.
things, so.
So was she one of the other candidates last time? She was?
She went, yeah.
She was, yes, and she said, what she ended up saying is that she was just starting a new venture with a partner and really felt she wouldn't be able to commit the time. And could we please circle back with her, a year later? So, yeah.
I'm happy to.
So I don't know her, so this is nothing, personal, but Jill and I were talking briefly before other people got here. Diversity is maybe not a word one wants to throw around so much, but I think it's really great to get a man. I mean, there's somebody a little different sitting around the table.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's
We
one.
did have one.
I remember.
Well, Paul Lecchio was on this list, does anybody know Paul? Lecchio.
I feel
So
like that-
Liz Paley, just to mention one other, I worked with her at Gaining Ground, she was amazing
Yes,
and
I was on the
wonderful,
board
she's
with
just
her
a
too.
lovely human
She's
being.
terrific.
And she would call up at Christmas and say, is there anything we can do to help me and her family? And she had nothing to do with sending them out, and she would be out in the community, but she can't do it on Tuesdays. And she said, keep me on the list, because I really would like to do it.
Kristen, you could ask David Lynch, Julie's husband.
I could ask
He's
David.
terrific.
Yeah,
He's wonderful,
Yeah.
sweet, good man, yeah.
and he's not volunteer, well, he coaches hockey, but that season's ending, so.
It comes back up.
Yeah.
He doesn't do it on Tuesday mornings, you don't.
I would assume not.
Yeah.
He has a new job though, so, but I can at least put the feelers, I mean, I assume we would approach everybody like weighted equally and see where their interests lie.
Right, and I can,
So important.
I worked with Pat McAlpine probably 20 years ago. She was very involved with, oh my God, it was the Alliance for Teen Safety at that point. So I know she's been around in town activities for quite a while, but I haven't heard from her in a long time. I can reach out to her as well, just to assess
Does it make sense to look at volunteers of other committees? I mean, just because they check, we see it, you see it because they check the box, but there might be others that you look at the full list. That you, people you know, that you could just reach out and say, well, would you consider Hugh Cargill?
I mean, I did that when I was on the Board of Health, when we were looking for somebody with a slightly different skill set, environmental engineering. I don't, I think it's hard to go through the entire list. of
Yeah.
People, you need to have like some criteria.
I
that
also,
you're looking
So it's a
think
big
that you
list.
don't wanna poach from other committees either.
for. I mean, we poach.
Do you ever circle back to people that volunteer, like on an annual basis and say, are there any other committees you might be interested in? Because someone might be in the system
Right.
from 3 years ago, but not have checked Hugh Cargill.
Yeah, I
Say it
mean,
now.
staff doesn't really do that because, you know, there are appointing authorities that aren't staff. But you know, that's something for select board appointments, I think Wendy.
I mean, I know we've tried to cross reference. I
Yeah,
mean, I know I've sent volunteers to other committees.
Yeah. yeah, I think you all have different levels of involvement with the recruiting process and that's fine, but I know you all have different ideas of how to,
We're also looking at how do we recruit more,
yeah.
that doesn't help you right now.
It sounds like there's, you know, we have 1, 2, 3. 4 people at least that we have connections to on this list that we can start with, is my suggestion. And then we can see
Better
if we
than
need
most
to.
committees, I'll tell you.
Right, I was actually
Yeah.
really surprised. The Board of Health was not at this
Yeah.
Who are the 4? Do they include any men? Because again,
I'm not,
I'm sure that there's 2 men on here, Peter Healy and Paul Vecchio.
I think, do you have Toby Ropia?
Yes.
unless something's changed, she's a
Toby would
woman.
be terrific.
She's just listed here as male. I mean, you know. I know, I haven't talked to her in 20 years probably, so it's possible.
I don't know, our son and my son.
So female?
So
I think.
So, I'm thinking about this because before Darcy was a real estate agent, I helped Julie and David buy their home. But I'm thinking, I can go through all the families I've sold houses to in Concord and reach out to all of them and just say, I just left this board, it's amazing, would you consider and see, because I mean, it's pretty good size number, I could do that.
And one nice thing is, some of those people might be new to town and be really interested in getting involved in something and they don't know how to do it.
This was a while ago.
Yeah.
Submit a card, even if they're not interested in this committee.
So what's the best process for following up with these that are on here? I know you've done this in the past, so.
Well, we've met in the past, you know, as you all know,
Right.
and just talked about it and talked about the whole picture and what everybody does. We're really, looking for, someone to do intake, so that's a consideration.
Right.
So if nobody here wants to do intake, we really need to find somebody who would really want to do it and feel happy about that and not say, you know, it's too much work or, you know,
Can't do it.
yeah, can't do it for whatever reason. So
I
that,
can't imagine a brand new person would jump into that role though.
pardon?
Unless they have the skill set.
Oh, I was brand new. She left town, gave me boxes, and I started on Monday morning. So I think, you know,
Somebody could pick it
and
up.
I'm here and I can pass on and say, here are all the contacts and. So it's not, you know, it's not a hard thing to learn.
So let's start by having some personal emails, some conversations, and then come up with a system for. Once we've heard back positively,
Okay, so who are we assigning to what?
well, I'm gonna follow up with
Okay.
Pat McAlpine,
Okay.
because I know her. Who else? And Kristen, you said you could follow up with
Unless
Julie.
Elizabeth wants to retain ownership.
No.
I think because you're currently on that
No, me too.
committee, so you'll do that. And then Elizabeth mentioned that Shuba is probably not interested at this point, but she'll check in with her. And
And then
then,
a new business, so.
What about the men?
Do you wanna reach out to them?
I just think, I mean, I'm looking at this guy.
You're the man.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, this guy, Paul, has a PhD in physics. I mean, he probably thinks very differently than I think. And I mean, that could be right. Yeah.
Totally. So you wanna reach out to Paul?
Sure.
And
We have an email for him.
you don't have an email.
Yes, it is, lovecc@comcast.
I love that. It's just kind of part of
Oh,
his
right,
name.
sorry, I was thinking of the line above, yeah.
It's part of his name, it looks like.
Yeah, that is funny.
Yeah. I like that.
Love Concord Carl.
Yeah, I know. It was a big booster at the school. That's so funny. So will you follow with, will you send an email to both of them? Maybe as we do our outreach, maybe CC me on follow-up
Okay,
and
so
then we can,
who's the other one? Peter?
Peter Healy. I don't know either one of them. And
And
then,
should we say in these ones that we are especially interested in somebody who can take on intake?
Yes, I think so.
they don't necessarily know what it is. I think that's part of a conversation as
Yeah.
opposed to an email,
Okay.
because it doesn't really.
Okay, so the email just basically says we meet Tuesday mornings, you know, are you still interested?
Right, and can we have a conversation?
Yeah.
Maybe then there's an initial phone conversation.
Yeah.
And then if they're continue to be interested, then we make some plans for people to get together,
Yeah.
if that's the next possible step, okay? So Elizabeth Haley, somebody said they knew her, or
Liz Haley.
Liz Haley, you did?
Oh, I know her very well, but she's already told me she can't meet on
Okay.
Tuesdays, but she really wants to join us at some point.
Okay,
She's with COA in Acton.
okay,
There was even conversation of changing the meeting, Lucy, I remember.
Pardon?
But there was even
Oh, I
conversation
know.
of changing the meeting.
Yeah.
Liz, yeah.
Well, we did change it for one of us.
all right, so we'll get that process started if necessary. After that, hopefully it won't be, we'll follow up with getting for, maybe the broader outreach to all of your
I'll Joe.
former
Let's see what
clients.
happens. What about Joe Regani?
He's not local now as much.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Vermont.
They're in Vermont a lot.
Does that matter? You can zoom in.
Well, I think, I don't know.
Hmm. Let's start with this list.
Yeah.
And then we can just see.
I think we're accomplishing a lot by being in person right now.
I do too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that would be a preference, or maybe part of the screening questions, are you available to meet in person preferably?
So, I know we don't talk to each other in between meetings because everything is, you can't do that. But somehow could you say, let us know that this one, no, so we know at least before our next meeting
Mhm.
where we are.
Yes. Yeah, so,
Because if we need to expand the
yes,
group, it would be,
And we'll just report back to you.
yeah,
Yeah.
just,
that's
that
right.
would be useful.
Okay, so I'm thinking the two men, I'll reach out and a basic thing, have an initial conversation. If they're still interested after that,
Right,
at that point, report to you.
that's right.
Okay.
So, this is what we do. Are you interested? Are you available on Tuesday mornings?
Yeah.
That's the essential screen. Anything else is an essential
Yeah.
first cut.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. Moving on to the property tax relief
We
update.
had one new applicant this month. The house is valued at $750,000. The house is held in estate. The person asking for it is the son. The sister is also living there. They were referred to us through the Council on Aging. So, looked, it meets our criteria. The only little difference is that it's an estate, but he is paying the property taxes, so I would say it fits in what we're doing. I think we used to talk about people because we would talk about their names, so we would do it in the executive session. Now that we are not talking about people's names, I think we can prove it here, and then we don't need to do it again. What do
Sounds good.
so it meets our criteria. We are now at 70 people. We're on the list for property tax relief.
Great.
No question about it being held in an estate. I thought that made it, I thought there were no exceptions to that.
Well, his income is below,
No, in terms of criteria, clearly it meets the criteria, except that we do have a requirement that they own the property.
Are
okay,
they trustees?
That's
I
the
don't know.
question.
Should we,
Yeah,
That's
that's
a, Right? I mean, the assessors, right, if you're gonna get a tax exemption, you have to, if it isn't a state, you have to be one of the trustee.
One of the trustees,
Yeah,
so we'll reach back out to. I will reach back out to him,
I mean, unless you wanna change that rule, but I think it is a rule now.
and I think that's a
Yeah.
reasonable rule to quickly. Find out if they are, one would think.
And if they are, then we would approve it without having to discuss it again, is that reasonable?
Will it matter, as far as timing, if we approve this next month or?
No, because the next quarter is when the relief is distributed. Or the next month, I mean, is when
Okay,
it's distributed.
so I will find out if they are a trustee.
At least one of the siblings.
One of
it
the
sounds like,
siblings.
that are living there.
It's the person receiving the benefit is the one that needs to be the owner or the trustee.
Okay,
Thank you for that. Okay. Okay, so you just had the one. All right, so our last item is just to make sure that our next date works. Our next meeting is April 8th. Is everybody able to come on April 8th? And any conflicts with the following one, which would be May 13th? Okay, those are our next two meetings. Thank you. Then can I get a motion to adjourn this part of our meeting?
So we
Oh, I know, I'm sorry. I should have that language, huh?
move that we adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing individuals or families seeking assistance, the disclosure of which would be a violation of privacy.